Welcome to Unlocking Your Truth, another podcast by Dr. Leslie Phillips.
Hello listeners, you are tuning in to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and with Corey.
Hello everybody.
And we're broadcasting live this evening on 101.7 FM across the Fraser Valley from the unceded territory of the Stolo Nation. Well, we hope that you are all enjoying your summer, everyone. We certainly are. And that you are... Maybe you're listening, relaxing on your deck with a nice cool drink in your hand. And if you're new to Unlocking Your Truth, let me explain that it is a talk show about metaphysics and spirituality. And every week on the show, we have a different topic that we focus on under that general umbrella. So sometimes we talk about psychic abilities, sometimes we talk about healing. We've even on occasion talked about things like crop circles and UFOs, haven't we, Corey?
And even pizza.
Yes, and of late we've been doing a series about psychic abilities. If you're a regular listener, you will know that that's really what I specialize in, is doing psychic readings and also in teaching people how to open their psychic abilities. And so stay tuned because we're going to continue our three-part series about psychic abilities.
And have some fun. But before we start, the weather has been phenomenal. It's amazing how warm it is. And I think out east, talking to a couple of people yesterday out east, it was nice and warm there as well. I think we're having a spectacular summer, Dr. Leslie. What do you think?
I do, yes. Yeah, I do. I just wish I wasn't so busy and I could have a bit more time to go out and enjoy the sunshine.
Wouldn't that be lovely, eh?
That's right. Yeah, it would.
Fame has its down points as well. Hey, I can't see me again.
Do you want to be? Oh, you have to lean over and wave.
I have to sort of go like this. Hello.
Yes, and for those of you who are listening on the radio, that might sound strange, but we actually live stream the show on Facebook now. Yeah. And so if you would like to watch the show as opposed to listen on the radio, then please, and you like Facebook, I know not everybody does, but you're welcome to join the group. It's called Awaken Your Psychic Abilities Facebook group. All right. Well, what do you think, Corey? Shall we start the show?
I don't know. Are you recapping last week's show?
Yeah, I thought that's what I'd do, because we've been doing... we started out with one show on all the different psychic abilities, but we only fitted about a third of the different psychic abilities into that show. So then it went into 2 shows, and now it's gone into 3. And so in the first show, we really focused on the lower chakras. And in the second show, we focused on the upper chakras. And in this show, we're going to focus on how some of the chakras coordinate and work together to confer psychic abilities. And so I think most people, when they think of psychic abilities, they think of the third eye. They think of the crown chakra, perhaps. But in actual fact, all of the major chakras are windows of perception. All of the major chakras allow you to perceive your reality in different ways. And so in the first episode of this series, we talked about the lower 3 chakras and the heart chakra. And the lower 3 chakras, they relate very much to physical reality, the physical world, being alive in a physical body on planet Earth, and also the astral plane, which is closely related to the Earth plane. And so the psychic abilities that we discussed in that show was the survival instinct, this innate consciousness about your environment and your physical body that is channeled through the first chakra. The first chakra has information about your physical health, your physical body. And then we also talked about the second chakra, and we talked about being an empath, And another name for that ability is clairsentience or clear feeling. And we talked about the third chakra, or the solar plexus, and we talked about out-of-body experience, out-of-body memory, astral travel, and we also talked about energy distribution, which all relate to the third chakra. And then finally, we finished up on the heart chakra, and we talked about affinity and oneness. Because affinity is a kind of magnetic force that draws you to life situations and people that are a match for your energy vibration. And oneness is your ability to tune into the great all that is, and also to identify your unique position within the great all that is. So it's kind of an inbuilt guidance system to help you with your life purpose and your life direction. So that was episode 1. and then episode 2, which was 2 weeks ago, we talked about the upper chakra, so the 5th, 6th and 7th chakra. And the fifth chakra, I always think of it like a spiritual chatterbox, because there's so many different psychic abilities that are channeled through the 5th chakra, and they include your inner voice, which is the higher self speaking to you, the body personality self. Clairaudience, your ability to hear as spirit, and it allows you to tune into the music of the spheres or listen to your spirit guides. But also telepathy, broad and narrow band telepathy, non-verbal communication to groups of people or to individuals. And we talked about how telepathy is how animals and plants communicate, as well as people communicating in that way. And then finally, pragmatic or practical intuition. And we also covered the 6th chakra, which is the seat of the clairvoyance, your spiritual vision, your ability to see clearly as spirit. And abstract intuition, which is the ability to basically uncode and unlock symbols and symbolic information and mathematical formulae. So you might think of the clairvoyance as tuning into different energy frequencies, being able to see auric fields and such. And the abstract intuition allows you to understand complex, multidimensional, multi-layered symbols. And then we finished off with the crown chakra, transmediumship, and claircognizance. And another name for claircognizance is knowingness. And that's the ability to simply be still and know your spiritual information. And transmediumship is the ability to channel your own vibration, your own energy through the physical body. Some people use it to channel other beings or to be possessed by other beings. But we all are transmediums, because we all spirit and we all have a body, and we're all using the transmediumship to help bring ourselves into the physical reality. So that is a quick recap of what we talked about in episode 1 and episode 2.
That was quick.
Of this series. It was a whistle stop tour, as they say.
We have a question already from Genevieve out east.
Yes.
And she would like to know, is the crown chakra stronger than the third eye chakra to develop psychic abilities?
I wouldn't compare one chakra to the other and say one is stronger or weaker. I think everybody is unique. And so some people might have one developed more than the other. Some people might have more challenges with one more than the other. But I certainly wouldn't say this chakra is stronger and better for psychic abilities than the other. What I was conveying at the beginning of the show is that all of the chakras are windows of perception. All of the chakras allow you to perceive your reality and communicate with your reality and process your reality. And every single one of them is channeling a form of spiritual communication. So I think of the psychic abilities really as how we communicate as spirit. And so I hope that gives you a good answer. It's not that one chakra is better than another chakra. They're different, and they're allowing you to tune in at different frequency levels. So, for example, the first chakra is the lowest frequency of all of the chakras, and it's allowing you to tune into the lowest frequency of all the energies, because it's allowing you to tune into the planet. and how to survive and stay alive on the planet, and how to be in a physical body, and how to take care of that physical body in an instinctive way. And there's an innate intelligence there, as in terms of channeling spirit's information about that. The second chakra is more the human relational chakra, and it allows you to tune in to, on an emotional level, both to your own body and to other bodies. And so that's the one where people talk about being an empath, and and so on. And so one is not better than the other. They're all allowing you to tune in different ways to your reality. Some more focused on being human and human interactions, and some more focused on as spirit and spiritual interactions. So like I was saying, that in the first episode of the show, we were talking about the lower chakras and the psychic abilities of the lower chakras, and how they help you to tune in more to the physical reality, the astral plane reality, and the human body reality. And the upper chakras allow you to tune more into the spiritual reality, and to begin to do things like communicate with your spirit guides, for example, or see energy, or tune into higher frequencies and higher vibrations of energy. So I hope that answers your question, Genevieve.
Yeah, we got Adam has got a couple of things he was saying here, and some really great stuff coming up this week. Clear knowing seems to be a part of narrow band to me. Haven't experienced broadband other than maybe picking up in a crowd I should or shouldn't be among.
Okay, so we're talking about two different things here. So knowingness or claircognizance is an aspect of the crown chakra. And you can seat your consciousness in the crown chakra, which is the one located on the top of your head. And you can simply be still and know yourself as spirit. Know your God, know supreme being, know source energy, whatever name you choose for that, and also instantaneously know your spiritual information. So you can sit there with a question and receive a knowingness in answer to that question. That's knowingness, your ability to tune into your higher consciousness and receive your answers, and basically know any information that you could possibly need to know. Whereas telepathy, broad and narrowband telepathy, it's an aspect of the fifth chakra. And your telepathic channels are located in the sinuses, and they're located in the sternum as well. And this is it's like a non-verbal communication. And like I said, narrowband is if I was just talking to one of you telepathically, that would be narrowband. And if I was talking to everyone who's listening to this radio show telepathically, then that is broadband. And that is both sending and receiving. So I hope that makes sense. I think another question, Corey?
Yep.
Okay.
Got another question from Callie, and says, Callie asks, can animals be telepathic?
They are telepathic. That is how animals communicate. And that is how you can communicate with if you have animals, that is how you can communicate with them. Really
interesting. Callie says, literally, I heard someone screaming help. I went to look, and it was my cats. Rumi forgot to feed them.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting if you heard it as the word help. That's kind of interesting, because in my experience, it's more of non-verbal, and so I had a pet growing up. I don't have one now, but it used to communicate more with, mental image pictures, and vibrations, sort of thing. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So today's show, and I'll just give you a sneak peek, because in 5 minutes we'll go to the break, so I may as well start the main content of today's show when we come back from the break. But like I said, we're going to now mix it up and say, because we just talked about, each individual chakra and how that relates to the psychic abilities. But the chakras don't work as islands in isolation from one another. They also work together. And so some of the psychic abilities are conferred by multiple chakras actually working in sync with one another. And that's what we're going to talk about when we come back from the break. Is there another question, Corey?
No. Just some comments going through. Kelly just says, good to know we're both crazy cat ladies.
Well, I would be a crazy cat lady. I love them, but unfortunately I developed an allergy to them, and so I have to admire them from a distance. Yeah, it's a bit of a shame that, because I did love all the cats growing up.
Yeah.
All right, so so I might go to the break a little early,
let's just do that now,
and then come back. Yeah, so you are tuning in to Unlocking Your Truth, listeners, and if you're listening on 101.7 FM, you're tuning into a talk show about metaphysics and spirituality that broadcasts every Tuesday evening across the Fraser Valley from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock Pacific time. And if you are tuning in that way and you would like to come on the show, you can there's a call-in number, and the call-in number is 604-504-7441, extension 4142, and I'll say that again a bit more slowly, 604-504-7441, extension 4142. You can also send questions to info@drlesliephillips.com, and you can join the Facebook group. It's called the Awaken Your Psychic Abilities Facebook group, and we are now starting to live stream the show on Facebook. We'll be back after these messages. Welcome back, listeners. You're tuning in to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey.
Sometimes I just feel like a voice. Sometimes I just feel like a voice from the beyond.
Why is that?
Because I'm not really here.
Well, you can see you.
You can see my
here.
elbow. You know.
Yes, and again, radio show listeners, we are live streaming on Facebook. So that's what Corey's referring to there. Yeah, so you're tuning into Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey. And we are a talk show about metaphysics and spirituality. And we're here every Tuesday night on 101.7 FM across the Fraser Valley. Tonight we are doing another show in our series about psychic abilities. And we were going to talk about some psychic abilities that we haven't spoken about yet in this series. And remember, before the break, folks, I was explaining that some psychic abilities draw on multiple chakras at the same time. Why are you laughing, Corey?
Oh, I'm sorry. Sometimes the comments are interesting. Adam just said, like your new hair.
Oh, thank you, Adam. It's curly. It's naturally curly, actually. This is my natural hair. I usually straighten it. Thank you. All right. So let's talk about the 6th and 7th chakra, the crown chakra and the brow chakra, the third eye and the crown chakra. Together can convey the ability to know the future. And that's a psychic ability called precognition. So knowing something before it happens, precognition. So the crown chakra and the 6th chakra help you to look into the future. So what else can we say about that? I wonder if anyone listening has ever had a precognitive experience. We also might want to talk about a bit about the difference between premonitions and precognition. Are they the same or are they different? And also what's actually happening when you precognize something. And when you from where we are in present, we're in present time, right here, right now, in the moment that we're in. And from our perspective, in the moment that we're in, the future actually hasn't happened yet. So it exists as a kind of a quantum field or an energy cloud of multiple possibilities, infinite possibilities, and those infinite possibilities some of them are more probable and some of them are less probable. So through the 6th and 7th chakra, it allows us to look into that quantum field of possibilities and focus on what is the most probable future event to occur in whatever it is that we're looking at. And this is why when you get a professional psychic, they're not always correct at predicting the future. And it may not be that they weren't correct. It just is that was the most likely probability at the time that they predicted it. And then other moments happened where different choices were made, and that changed the trajectory into the different future moments that then ended up manifesting. So now it's possible to look into the future from your waking consciousness, but it's also quite common, and I think a lot of you may have experienced this, to have a premonition in a dream when you're asleep, to dream of something that then happens in real life. And because, of course, when we're asleep and we are traveling outside of the physical body, we are traveling in that quantum realm, we're traveling in the astral plane. And while there is time and space in the physical plane, there is no time and space in the astral plane. So that allows us to explore multiple possibilities, basically. And, sometimes we remember those multiple possibilities, and sometimes those end up being things that are manifested in physical reality. So, premonitions and precognition. Now, also, if you add to the 6th and 7th chakra the use of the hand chakras, then we are talking about a psychic ability called psychometry. And I'm trying to remember the direct translation of psychometry, but it basically means able to feel the energy stored in objects. And the classic idea of psychometry is somebody wears a piece of jewelry, and then a psychic will say, well, give me your ring to hold, and I will feel the energy of that ring, and I'll give you a reading. I'll tell you something about yourself. And because objects store energy, and if somebody has worn an item of clothing or a piece of jewelry for a very long time, it's absorbed their energy. And it's possible for somebody who is a competent psychometrist to read the energy in that object. But I would also include in this section of psychic abilities, which involve using the crown chakra, the 6th chakra, and the hand chakras, things like dowsing and working with a pendulum. So, dowsing is when you are able to tune into where water is underground using a dowsing stick, for example. And psychometry is where you're able to use a pendulum to intuit answers about things. All right. And if you've got questions, type them in, folks. Type them into the Facebook chat box. And I'm going to continue to build on this idea. So crown chakra, 6th chakra, hand chakras, and the 1st chakra. And there are 2 abilities. Oh, it looks like we've got a question.
We've got a couple. Well,
sure.
Adam wants to know, is it easier to read in organic matter? Information seems stronger in organic or mineral-based objects.
Versus inorganic.
Yes.
Huh. I can't think what would be an inorganic thing.
A rock?
Right, a rock, a mineral. No, I mean, rocks and minerals store an enormous amount of information. They're made up of crystals. A lot of them have crystals in them, and so I don't know. I mean, I don't. I believe that you can read rocks and minerals. I think, I've never been asked that question. But I don't see, if there's energy stored in it, whatever it is, then it's easy to read. The question might be: do some things store more content than others? And I would suspect the answer to that is yes. Some things might store more content than others.
Yeah, like crystals and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's a lot more information within that object. And so, but I don't think it's more difficult to read it. I think if the information's there, whatever it is, it can be read.
Yeah.
That would be my answer to that. Thanks for that question.
Good question. Yeah, Kelly also has a question which is very interesting actually, and she says, "I'm usually a force to be reckoned with, totally unapproachable. 2 months ago, I injured my knee, and I've noticed a plethora of people talking to me and supporting me. Did my chakras break, or have I finally been equalized to accept care?"
Well, do you know what? That's a great question too, and thanks for sharing that, Kelly, because that's...
Kelly.
I thought I said Kelly. Kelly.
Kelly.
Oh, Callie. Callie. So, yeah, you know what? It's often the case when we're somebody who's always giving, you know, and really independent and always giving. Sometimes things will happen to rebalance that, because on this planet, this is the planet is a planet of opposites, a planet of duality, right? Everything has an opposite here. And so if we go too much in one direction, then at some point we need to rebalance in the other direction. So often when people injure themselves, on a spiritual level, you're being invited to rebalance. If you've been giving more than receiving, then that is an opportunity to receive. So it may not be that I can't remember what you said about your chakras. It may not be that your chakras have exploded, but it may be that you have been forced to change from a more yang to a more yin, you know, a more receptive way of having your energy while you heal from the injured knee. I mean, I'll take a very quick look and see if there's anything else to say about that. Yeah, I mean, I think that that's what it is, that you're learning about community and co-creating and being part of a group. And it looks like on a spiritual level you want to learn about that. That is... and that there's something coming up that has to do with... it's kind of interesting. Almost realizing that I'll try and it's like a comment about humanity. That would be the big picture thing of it. Like none of us are doing this on our own. We're all doing it together. So if one of us goes running ahead, in a way it doesn't matter, because if we all have to catch up for humanity to, you know, become an evolved species, we all have to catch up. And there's something about that that's coming up. It's sort of like you are waiting to be a part of the group, and letting go of the pain around being different and being independent and not having community around you. Okay, so I'm going to continue on with the talking about the different psychic abilities. And so we were talking about the crown chakra and the sixth chakra and the hand chakras. And if we add to that the first chakra, then we're looking at two things. One is healing and the other is telekinesis. And both of those things relate to the ability to influence and create change energetically. And so all healing is change. It's changing something from one state to another. Telekinesis is change and is changing something from one state to another. In telekinesis, it's down to the molecular level of a physical object. So actually being able to change the conformation of molecules in a physical object, to make it heat up, to make it cool down, to make it go bendy, the classic spoon bending thing. But healing is the same as that. It's just that it might be on a more subtle level that the change is being created. It can be helping someone to change their belief system. It can be helping someone to release emotional energy or mental energy, or working, influencing the physical body as well. And I think, one difference to illustrate this might be if somebody was using telekinesis to work on a kidney stone, they might be able to dissolve the kidney stone in situ. Whereas if somebody was working on a kidney stone who was using energy healing, then they might influence a person's belief system, emotional things that have been stored in that location, everything that had caused them to create that kidney stone or gallstone in the first place, and help them change the way that they structure their reality, so that A, they don't create that anymore, and B, it enables them to let go and release it. So that's telekinesis and healing, energy healing. All right, and then we just added the hand chakras, didn't we? So let's talk a little bit about the hand chakras, because the hand chakras you can use in energy healing, but also they are relevant to manifestation and to creating your reality outwardly in the physical world. There's energy that runs through your system and runs down your arms and out through your hand chakras, and that energy can be used in creating your reality. And then finally, the feet chakras. And the feet chakras contain information relating to the planet and help you tune into the planet and the energies of the planet and stay in balance with the energies of the planet. All right, so we are kind of heading to another break.
We have two questions.
Sure.
We have one from Lori.
Yeah.
And hello, Lori.
Hi, Laurie.
And and she says, lately it seems like there's been a lot of people and drama around me. Leslie, what's up with that?
Thank you for asking that question, Laurie. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The
You're
last,
not alone, Lori.
The last 3 weeks, the last month has been absolutely nuts out there. I've seen so much going on in the people that come to me for readings and for healings. There have been people leaving the planet, people choosing this period of time to cycle off the planet. That there's been a lot of that going on, and everybody is facing their stuff, really. People have been coming to me because all their abuse stuff is up to be looked at. Things that they've ignored or pushed down, they can't ignore or push down anymore. And they've also been coming to me because they are suffering from possession and entity invasion. And I see different trends quite often in my practice, but you're right, Laurie, at the moment, what is going on? Because it just seems really intense and really challenging for everybody. I think it's calmed down a little bit this week, but the 2 weeks before that were just almost out of control. People just hysterical and desperate for help. And, we're living in a time where the energy on the planet is shifting. And there's lots of astrological alignments. It's about how our planet is traveling through our galaxy and aligning with the different energies in the galaxy. But you've all heard about the 26,000 year cycle, and we're at the time of this great shift, and we're at the time of energy acceleration and the energy vibration going up on the planet. And the way we experience it, it's sort of like the energy goes up, we are slammed with something for a while until we get through it. The energy goes up, we're slammed with something a while until we figure out how to get through it and balance it ourselves. And that keeps happening. And this year has been a very intense year. It seemed more intense than ever at the beginning of the year. But I would say the last 2 weeks has been the biggest one yet, at least in my experience. And so that's what's up with that, Laurie. We've hit another huge energy shift. And what happens when the energy goes up is like the light gets brighter and the dark things that were hiding in the shadows can't hide anymore. And that's why you see in the world things like the Me Too movement, all of these, or people who are sort of, the Catholic Church and child abuse or sex slavery, or all of these things that are coming up in the news and are being addressed. It's because of the vibration going up on the planet. And what that means within each and every one of us as the vibration goes up, the things that have been hiding inside us, are called up to be released because they can't hide anymore. So whether it's been a being that's been living in your energetic space, or whether it's been a relationship that's been dysfunctional in some way, or whether it's, you had some abuse in your childhood that you didn't deal with, it's been coming up for people. And it really is a difficult time, and it really is a challenging time. And, back to the other lady's comment, it's a time for community. It's a time for us all to support each other. And, thank goodness for all the light workers that are out there and available to help people with this. Because it's one thing for people who have a spiritual focus already and understand this to some degree. And it's a whole other thing for people who are just being bashed about by the energies out there without really knowing, without really having a spiritual perspective on what's going on. So Laurie, thank you for that question. I am going to take a break now for the ads for the radio show, and then we'll answer the other question when we come back. Listeners, you're tuning in to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and with Corey, and we're talking about psychic abilities and all things related. Welcome back, listeners. You are tuning in to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey. Hello. We are broadcasting live on 101.7 FM across the Fraser Valley and from the unceded territory of the Stolo Nation.
So I'm just going to, there's a couple of comments from Adam, and then we're going to go to Cindy Ann's question. Sure. And Adam says, this time can be very empowering if one learns to navigate through it and use it correctly. Doesn't have to be, oh no, Mercury retrograde or whatever the event. And he comes down, he says something over here. And he says, maybe you can be that peace in the storm. Great opportunity, if you ask me.
Yeah, I agree with you, Adam. And, quite often a Mercury retrograde cycle is a very good time to sort of turn within and meditate and do your spiritual work. But this Mercury retrograde coincided with a Saturn retrograde. And it just seems to have been quite disturbing for people. But yes, it was. Yeah, I agree. It is a growth opportunity for sure. It's an opportunity to expand, to grow, to increase your vibration, and to let go of denser energies that you've stored within your energy field.
So Cindy Ann wants to know, please, can you tell me anything with regards to my work?
Anything with regards to your work? Maybe you want to ask a little bit more of a detailed question, Cindy. Are you thinking of changing jobs? Are you looking for a job? Tell us a little bit more about yourself. What's your vocation? What? And then I'll look at it.
And while she's doing that, I have a question that came in online.
Yeah.
And it says, I'm happy to have found your podcast. You tell listeners to email a question. I have been in teachings of Ascended Masters for 35 years and was married for 20 years with 6 children. It ended when I caught him cheating. I wanted to work it out, and he didn't. I was in shock and had to raise these children alone. It's been 15 years and still have not met a long-term partner. I long for a healthy partner, and it feels like punishment to not have it. Recently, Psychic told me I still have a grudge, and it may sabotage meeting it, and it lasting long-term. The gift in divorce is I learned a lot about a relationship, and I thought I released resentments about this. I have a history of feeling inferior. I now mentally don't buy into that, yet if I watch my actions, it's there. My mother told me she tried to abort me. I was the 5th child in 5 years. I feel stuck in inferiority and see all around me that people feel safe to treat me that way. What do I need to do to get free of this? Any enlightenment is much appreciated. Love and light for all awakening. Infinite blessings to you for your work. Namaste, Patrice. Oh, Patrice was online here.
Oh, really? Oh, well. Then, it strikes me that some of what you're dealing with is a cellular program. So if you think about you, a developing fetus in the womb, and your mom, you're like the 6th child coming along, and it's a bit overwhelming for her, and then she's contemplating not continuing the pregnancy. You were incubated in that energy. Your cells grew in that energy of questioning whether this child is wanted. And I believe that your sense of inferiority and worthlessness comes from that time. And that, when something has happened to us, when we can think and when we can speak, that's one level of reprogramming, and it makes logical sense because maybe we have the memories and maybe we can cognize what happened. But when it's a cellular thing, it's very, very hardwired. And so what I would suggest is some cellular healing, some DNA reprogramming. You can actually look online on my website, and there's a page on that type of healing that I do. So, I think your question was, what should I do next to sort of deal with this? But I'm going to go quickly and just take a very specific look at your energy. And, your energy actually looks lovely, and it looks like you've done a lot of work, and it looks like I see this, it's almost like I see your energy like this beautiful, bright globe. But this beautiful, bright globe is being held by this brass hand. And the brass hand is representing the foundation of experiences that we talked about. And it looks like this life, the experience in your mother's womb, and also previous lifetimes. And so, and it looks like you're in the process of clearing the ancestral patterns, clearing the cellular patterns, and so on. And so, it's sort of like you're in the process of rebirthing yourself, like that, butterfly emerging from the chrysalis. And so I would just suggest that you just might want some help doing some deep work on the cells and the DNA, and releasing it that way. That's what I would suggest next.
Wonderful, thank you, Dr. Leslie. Cindy Ann has been a little bit more she gave us a little more clarity here. She says, I've been victimized at work for about a year, and yesterday I got suspended for a reason that they can't provide. It's been a very difficult time, and now I'm extremely unsure of everything.
Wow. All right, well, let's take a look at that. Thank you for giving us a bit more information. I'm just tuning in to you listeners if you don't know. I'm going quiet because I'm just looking at Cindy's energy. It might take me a little while to get some information about this. Give me a moment. I'm actually seeing a somewhat similar answer that I gave to the last person, in that this is about you rebirthing yourself and freeing yourself from some old patterns. I'm seeing there's 2 reasons why it's really hard for you to have clarity at the moment. One reason is that you're dealing with the energy of people from work. And so, like, their energy's in your space, and it's making you just feel stuck. And so, number one, clear their energy out of your space. And then number two, they're just reflecting something that's within you back at you. So there's also something within you that's stuck. And again, the symbol I see for this thing that's stuck is like a baby's rattle. So again, it looks like it's something from early on in your childhood, just like the other person. And I'll see if I can give you a little bit of information about what it is. So, like I said, I think that this might need a bit more of an in-depth reading. But it looks like it's got something to do with patterns of behavior and ways of interacting with other people that was laid down when you were a baby. And I'm seeing images of you of as a baby crying in your crib, and how how you learned about how the crying, the effect that it would have on other people, and how that it might bring other people to you, for example. And it looks like there's, I mean, what's coming up to talk about is just to look at you know what, something is coming up about complaining. And so I need to ask you a bit more questions to really get to the bottom of this. But it looks like it has to do with your interactions with other people at work. And so, I mean, you can tell us if you like. Are there things you've been complaining about? Do you complain a lot, or do you feel like, or are they complaining at you a lot? There's something about complaining and being criticized. I feel like that this is something that needs a bit more depth to pick apart, Corey.
Without a doubt. I got something on this one, though, that came up for me, and I saw fire. And I think for both Lori and for Cindy Ann, it's the same. I saw fire, and sometimes, like, Fire hurts, fire burns, fire does a whole bunch of things, but fire also purifies, which is very interesting. So sometimes, and I'm not talking about real fire, I'm talking, but metaphorically. And sometimes we have to go through a fire in order to purify ourselves from, I know I've gone through many fires in my life and had to come out the other side, but I've come out the other side better. And I think Adam had it right too. Like, no matter what you're facing, you have the opportunity to turn that into something positive, because we live in this world of duality, and no matter what happens, it could turn positive for you or it could turn negative for you. And the old Buddhist story about the horse, where the horse comes and the farmer says, the next door farmer says, "Oh, how wonderful, you got a horse," and he says, "Well, we'll see." And then the horse runs away, and the farmer says, "Oh, it's too bad your horse ran away." He says, "Oh, we'll see." And then the horse came back, and the son and the farmer said, "Oh, that's great." And the farmer says, "Well, we'll see." And then the the farmer's son falls off the horse and breaks his leg, and the farmer says, "Oh no, that's terrible." And the other farmer says, "Oh, we'll see." And then the army comes by to conscript him, and he can't go because he's got a broken leg. So no matter what we look at, there's a duality in that nature. And I think we have to keep ourselves open to that growth that comes with these things. Yeah. Look for anything positive that can turn that negative into a positive. For instance, Cindy, this might be an opportunity for you to get something even better as far as work is concerned. I know it sounds tough to say, but things happen.
So thank you, Corey, and that gave me a bit more time to sort of put an answer into a more concise way.
You've got 2 minutes.
Yes, and what it looks like to me is that you're looking at evolving beyond certain behavior patterns, and those patterns relate to manipulation and how one person manipulates another. And that could be somebody manipulating you or you manipulating somebody else, and sometimes people manipulate someone by criticizing them. Certain personalities will try a lot harder if they're being criticized. Other people will be devastated, and so I'm just seeing that that's the growth cycle, is that wanting to get yourself out of an environment that's based on people manipulating each other. All right.
Yeah, and remember, we're all, I think it says it in the Bible really well. You're the light of the world. And that means every last one of you is the light of the world. So let yourself shine. Just allow yourself to shine. Allow yourself to be the best you can. Sound like an army commercial. Be the best you can be, because you can. I mean,
you sound like Melania Trump. Be best.
Be best. But seriously, it's all part of who you are. Growth and trial, tribulation, and growth. They all go together.
Well, on that note, thank you everybody for tuning in to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie. This week's episode was again about psychic abilities, part 3 in our series about all the different psychic abilities and how they relate to the chakra system. And I had an idea for the next show that we do. I'm going to continue the series on psychic abilities, but we're going to name some psychic abilities that aren't really true psychic abilities. They are ways of receiving information from the other side, but from my perspective, a true psychic ability is actually channeled through the chakra system, and is an ability that you have whether you're in a body or not in a body. So there are some psychic abilities that come through in the body that you don't have when you are in spirit. And those are the ones that we will talk about next time.
Yes.
How does that sound?
I think that sounds wonderful.
Good. Well, I'm going to...
I think we have an interview next week, though. Tuesday.
Probably. So it might be in 2 weeks that we do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you everyone for tuning in to Unlocking Your Truth. And we are here on 101.7 FM, broadcasting across the Fraser Valley every Tuesday at 7 o'clock Pacific time until 8 o'clock Pacific time. And if you have a request for what you'd like us to cover on the show, you can send your request to info@drlesliephillips.com, or you can join the Awaken Your Intuition, the Awaken Your Psychic Abilities Facebook group and post in there what you would like us to talk about on the show. All right, well, this is me signing off for this week.
Thank you for joining us. You've been listening to another Unlocking Your Truth podcast by Dr. Leslie Phillips. For more information, go to our website at drlesleyphillips.com. That's drlesleyphillips.com, where you can ask questions or send her an email, and there's many free gifts on there for you as well. You can also find the questions that were asked during this show at the website on our free card reading podcast page, where you'll find a full list of them. Come back again.